Over the last few weeks, I've started to kind of notice myself telling a lot of my friends that they are kind of delusional about the current state of their crypto market. Because, quite honestly, a lot of people still out there do not believe the Bitcoin bull market is over. And when you look at the psychology of a market cycle chart, which we're going to look at in study in this video, a lot of people still have the belief that 2026 is actually the year where we're going to see a new Bitcoin all-time high. People are in a period of denial about what has already occurred, what has happened for crypto and Bitcoin in general, and are holding on to the belief that 2026 is actually going to be that year for Bitcoin, that 2026 is going to be like 2021 all over again. And I'm going to talk about that in today's video because I think a lot of people are holding on to false hope with very, very small chances of certain things lining up perfectly to make that even a possibility. We're going to dive into that in today's video, why the Bitcoin bull market is over, why 2026 is going to be a cold bear market, and everything you need to do to prepare ahead of time. That said, if you're new here, my name is Alex. Talk about crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like. Without further ado, let's end the video. So funny enough, I actually recorded the intro to this video yesterday, and unfortunately didn't have enough time to record the rest of this video that you're watching right now, which is unfortunate because, well, if I had posted this video yesterday, maybe some of you would have been warned ahead of time for what ended up happening today, and that was a dramatic fall for the price of Bitcoin. About $4,000 was from about 89,000, went all the way down to 85,000. Right now, hovering about 86,000. But I want to first talk about where we are in the current state of the market, and then look at why Bitcoin hasn't been moving the same way that other assets have been moving, and more specifically, what everyone's telling you is, or not everyone, but what a lot of prominent people are telling you what 2026 will be like, even though that occurring for Bitcoin is highly unlikely. Everything, the stars would essentially have to line up for something like this to actually occur. But let's talk about where we are right now in the current state of the psychology of a market cycle. I think this is a very important chart. Some people have, most of you have probably seen this one way or another. I think we've already hit this euphoria stage. Personally, this was $126,000 Bitcoin. We came back here as far as complacency when we went back to $120,000 Bitcoin. We're going to look at this on the chart as well in just a second. And then once we hit down to the $100,000 mark, this is kind of like the October where we had this like massive liquidation event. That was like, why am I getting margin called? Why is this all this happening? And people started freaking out once we kind of hit 100,000, right? That was a huge level that psychologically was a huge level of support for a lot of people. Now, $90,000 Bitcoin is not even holding. And I think we're somewhere right now between the denial and the panic stage. That is where we are right now. Denial, my investments are with great companies. They will come back. Bitcoin is correcting. I think it will come back. I think we're going to see this down to 75,000, 80,000, whatever that number is. And then we're going to go back to new all-time highs in Q1, Q2 of 2026 because of said reason that a few people are telling me on the internet. And then I think eventually we're going to come to a point where panic is starting to set in. I think this is probably going to happen once we drop below 80,000. And more specifically, the capitulation is going to be once we drop below 75,000. Because 75,000 was a huge level after we corrected after the Trump election rally and all that occurred. Bitcoin actually rallied very hard post-election. There was a lot of bullish sentiment at that time, and we're getting ready to test that sentiment or test that timeline. And I think once we sell below that timeline, that is capitulation. There's going to be a lot of people very upset. And we're going to kind of enter this stage in 2026. Unfortunately, that is where things are going, that things are headed to currently. And so I posted this a couple of days ago, I said Bitcoin is down over 12% in the past month. Historically, Q4 is supposed to be the most bullish for crypto. And typically, you're going to see your peak for Bitcoin October, November, or December. Those are really the 3 months. This time, it occurred very early on in October. And that was when we hit 126,000. There's really no major catalyst, no bullish sentiment. Views are down, engagement is down. I can't find any reason to be bullish. What am I missing? Now, mind you, this was at $90,300 Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is sitting at 80. Let me refresh this. This isn't accurate. Bitcoin is sitting right now at 86,000. It is holding on for dear life. Excuse me, at this level. So let's talk about this right here, right? And I think this is what a lot of people are seeing. If we go over to this chart and we erase this very briefly, I'm going to just get rid of this. You're going to see, if you could zoom in, there's going to be periods of consolidation, right? You have this massive correction. You're going to have a bump up and you're going to have consolidation. Massive correction, bump up, consolidation. Massive correction, bump up, and then you're just consistently going lower. And that is exactly what we've been seeing, right? If you zoom in on this chart, this is on a daily for Bitcoin. So this is, mind you, this is from the beginning of October to where we are now. We are seeing that exact same scenario play out, right? We saw this peak here at 126,000. We saw this correction and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Correction. Oh, here we go. Correction. Oh, here we go. And now we're about to enter another correction. And I think realistically, a lot of people are thinking that this is the last correction. This is the last time. This is the correction that we've been waiting on. People said that at 100,000. People said that at 90,000. People are saying that at 80,000. I think it's only going to be a matter of time before capitulation sets in, and then people start to get angry because they kept trying to catch the falling knife, metaphorically. So when you take a look at all this, right, and you're going to have, this is most definitely from a bearish standpoint. I think we have peaked. I mean, a lot of people don't realize Bitcoin is up a significant amount from earlier in this year. I mean, from the low in November of 2022, Bitcoin is currently up, and mind you, this isn't going to be the perfect low. Bitcoin went up 726% in the course of 3 years, right? Almost about 3 years, 2.5 years. So this was a massive rally for the likes of Bitcoin. This was, a lot of people are trying to negate the fact because a lot of people got in post-election. People started to see this rally right here. Well, they saw the election rally, right? And this was a big rally, mind you. This was pretty exciting. Election occurs. We're going from like 60,000. We go all the way to $110,000 Bitcoin. We see a correction back to 75,000. And then we see new all-time highs. And I think that's probably what we saw back here in 2021, right? We saw this pump, correction down here to prior level support, and boom, all-time highs. And now we've corrected. But what we saw in 2021 is very different than what we're seeing right now. And in some instances, in other ways, it's very similar. But right now, we're getting ready to test this level, right? This was, if you look back, and we're just going to draw this out. This is a huge level of support and resistance. You can see this not only from here and here, you can see it testing all through here. And then you see even on the way down, this was the level that was tested, consolidated before a further retracement. This is what you see over here. This is a perfect example. This test, consolidation, only to draw down even further, right? If you look at this, we are getting ready to test that level. That level is, if I could draw, that level is right here, the $75,000 Bitcoin. $75,000 Bitcoin is the same. If we are testing this right here, and draw a straight line, this is this right here. This was $30,000 Bitcoin in 2021, 2022. That was the level, the test level, right? For us, this is $75,000 Bitcoin. And I think we're going to test that level. I mean, even at this point, we went to 108,000 and then went to 75,000, go back to 126. It's not that crazy to consider the fact that Bitcoin could go back down to 75,000. A lot of people are going to be in disbelief when it does, but it's just a matter of time when. It's not a matter of if. Now, the bigger question is if we go down here and we retest this, are we in this right here, or are we in this right here? That is going to be the question a lot of people are going to be asking themselves. And those who are bullish on 2026 are saying we are in number one, we are not in number two. That is kind of the sentiment. But let's take a look at some of the data, right? Bitcoin quarterly returns, by far one of the worst quarters for Q4 for Bitcoin since 2018, which is absolutely insane because that was a horrendous year for crypto in general. So that is the only thing you can compare. No other Q4 has been worse. None other has come close other than in 2014. So that is how bad things are right now. When you take a look at the entire market, we're down below $3 trillion. The entire fear and greed index, we're sitting in the orange. We've been spending a lot of time recently in the red. So overall sentiment is negative. Markets are negative. A lot of people that are very bullish and wanted to provide a bullish thesis on Bitcoin said, well, Bitcoin's supposed to follow the money supply. And historically, it's done very, very well. In fact, most of the market, when you look at the stock market, follows the money supply. And Bitcoin has not done so. In fact, you have seen gold do a lot better following it. You've seen silver following it much better. And we're at a time where we're seeing better performance, better returns out of silver and gold than what we're seeing, at least in the year of 2025, than what we're seeing out of gold, out of Bitcoin. So people are seeing gold outperform Bitcoin. People are seeing silver outperform Bitcoin. People are seeing other assets outperform Bitcoin that are also to a certain degree considered store of value. So it's kind of leaving a question mark in a lot of people's minds as to, is Bitcoin the best thing to hold, especially when you've had such a crazy year for gold. This is an unprecedented year for gold, right? I mean, mind you, in this year alone, gold is up. Mind you, Bitcoin is down on the year. But if you take a look at gold is up 66%, right? If you were taking a look at store of value and you could buy gold or you could buy Bitcoin in 2025, the likes of gold outperformed Bitcoin. When you take a look at silver is even more of a scenario that doesn't look good for the likes of Bitcoin. You're looking at silver up 116%, double that return of the likes of gold. And so when you're taking a look at 2025, which is supposed to be one of the most bullish years for crypto, people are asking themselves, why isn't it up even in the double digits? Bitcoin is down on the year. And so that kind of casts a bit of a shadow of doubt on everything else. So when you see something like Bitcoin selling off and you have other assets that are constantly making new highs, which one are you probably going to put your money in if you're looking to leverage yourself or deleverage yourself out of a higher risk asset? You're going to look at what's going up, right? And that is kind of where things are right now. Now, here's what bulls are going to tell you. Bulls are going to tell you that there's a few catalysts that if these happen, this is going to be 2026 is going to be Bitcoin's year. So the biggest thing a lot of people are talking about are these $2,000 stimulus tax or stimulus checks, which one were just a proposal. There's nothing, and this was just from a speech by Trump talking about this idea. Nothing's been voted on, nothing's been agreed upon, nothing's been passed in Congress. There's literally been nothing except a public speech by Trump talking about this idea. He talks about a ton of ideas, doesn't mean any of them are going to come to fruition, much less ones that are such financially burdensome in general actually coming to fruition. So this is a long shot. This is a very, very long shot to, if you're putting your entire thesis that 2026 is going to be a massive year for Bitcoin because you believe people are getting $2,000 stimulus checks that aren't even in the process of being approved, that is a terrible, terrible strategy. It is a terrible idea to put all your eggs in that one basket. When a lot of people are looking at, institutions are saying the bull market is going to peak in 2026, right? And this is driven by strong institutional investment through spot ETFs. Here's the thing. People talked about institutional investors back in 2020 and 2021 and still talked about it in 2022 because what you have is Grayscale saying that this 4-year cycle is no longer applicable. The new highs are going to be in 2026. You had people talking about this Three Arrows Capital. You had people saying there's going to be a Bitcoin super cycle in 2021. Bitcoin's never going to go down. Well, guess what happened? Bitcoin went from 50,000 after it started correcting all the way down to 16,000. And I think unfortunately, you're going to see the same type of scenario play out. And a lot of people are going to be looking at something like this. And a lot of people are probably going to be upset by it, right? Because most people, sentiment wise, are going to be angry when they see this. And Grayscale told them that 2026 is going to be the new all-time high for Bitcoin. So they continue buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip, only to eventually get into the depression stage because the dip never stopped dipping. And so this is the article from, what was this, back in 2020, talking about the Bitcoin super cycle. I mean, for a lot of people that just entered the market more recently, I mean, a lot of people got into Bitcoin in this bull run, especially when it came to memes, and they really have no clue as to what's going on. They weren't here in 2018, weren't here in 2019, weren't here in 2020, in 2021, 2022, 2023. They got in 2024 and when meme coins and pump fund launched, and that's all they know. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get burned with whatever money they made in this most recent bull market because they're under the theory that someone's telling them that 2026 is going to be the new all-time high. But you have not only the likes of Grayscale talking about this, you have the likes of what we've seen with Michael Saylor talking about the fact that, the Bitcoin standard, that, we're going to consistently see new all-time highs. And the problem is when everyone's talking about institutional investors, that stimulus checks, institutional investors, ETFs, all these things are what's going to make a new all-time high for Bitcoin. What people say is simply not backed up by data. Because when you take a look at this, spot Bitcoin ETF outflows hit $3.5 billion in November, the largest monthly outflow since February. When you take a look at the overall inflows versus outflows for the likes of Bitcoin ETFs, it overall just doesn't look good in general, right? This is not a time where when you look at the overall inflows versus outflows, the data just simply doesn't line up if you're bullish on the likes of ETFs being the thing that holds the entire market up and makes a new all-time high in 2026. Now, here's the thing, right? Is if we go back down here and test the 75,000, I don't think we see a Bitcoin. I think we will go back down to 50,000. That's going to be a huge psychological level of support. That's going to be a level of support just in general. But I don't see an area where we drop below $30,000 Bitcoin, because not only was it a huge level of support back here, it was also a huge level of resistance right here as we started this massive rally up. I don't see us going below 30,000. I don't see us going down to 16,000, much less. But I do see a correction. I think 50,000 is going to be a key indicator as to how well that holds before if a further breakdown happens. But here's the thing, right? And the one thing that I would caution, I've been in this space for 7 years. One thing I would caution is don't go away. If we continue to see a bearish sentiment, we continue to see the market going down, that is a perfect time to find cool, interesting projects that are building in this space, because those are the projects building through the bear market that are going to be super, super successful when the bull market comes around. Those are the projects. It doesn't always require you to be an investor or buying their token. A lot of times it's just getting involved and getting engaged in their ecosystems and finding opportunities. So that would be the one thing I would recommend. If you're getting in and you've seen this since 2019, if you're getting in and you've just seen this since 2024, don't be so depressed and so disincentivized because the price of Bitcoin is going down. Doesn't mean crypto's over. There's still plenty of opportunities, still plenty of projects that are quality projects that are building, great teams that are building. Yes, it's going to be a little bit quieter. Yes, there's not going to be as much excitement and energy. But that is when you put your head down, you go through the mud, you enjoy the times that you have, because those are the times when you accumulate when things are low. You get to enjoy when things rip and when things go to 126,000, taking the opportunities as they come and they present themselves. So one thing I would just say, don't go away. Find your opportunities. Find the different projects that you're bullish on that are going to be building, whether the market's green or whether the market's red. So that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on where the market is currently headed. I'm simply just not bullish. There's nothing out there right now that is changing my mindset on where the current market is headed. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, smash up a like. You enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. Until next time, guys, stay invested.